And I'm sure they'll bring that energy right to Texas.
I'm just here to tell you, Pack is back.
You heard it from a fan right here. Pack is back.
I'm going to defend this girl. How is she supposed to know that was Jair Alexander? How is she supposed to know it all happened so quickly? I don't think she's a sports reporter either. Like, let's cut her some slack.
This is SportsCenter.
Hey, I'm Marissa Britt, and the Leafs are back in action tonight, when we get to see William Nylander hitting the ice for the first time since committing to Toronto for 8 more years yesterday, and I'm going to be there wearing my Willie jersey. I just feel like we need to celebrate. It's the second half of a home-and-home against the worst team in the NHL this year, the San Jose Sharks. The Leafs are coming off a sweep of a California road trip, where they only allowed 2 goals in 3 games. And their unlikely starter, Martin Jones, played every minute between the pipes, earning second Star of the Week honors in the NHL. Now remember, these are kind of revenge games for Jones, who spent 6 seasons with the Sharks and even took them to the Cup Finals in 2016. Speaking of the Stanley Cup, many around Leafs Nation are wondering how they're going to get there if 4 players are eating up over $46 million of cap space, or 53% of the $87.7 million cap next year. Frankie Corrado pointed out that with the cap going up next year, Nylander actually took up less of a percentage of the whole cap than some of his comparables. It's an interesting point that even though Jack Eichel won the Cup last year with an exactly $10 million contract, we're still waiting for our very first $10 million plus player to hoist Lord Stanley. Viewers in the Leafs region can catch more contract talk when they host the Sharks, with puck drop at 7 Eastern on TSN4. Now tonight should have been the second iteration of the Connor Bowl, but with Bedard out for the foreseeable future with a broken jaw suffered this weekend, we'll have to settle for one generational Connor tonight. The injury came off a hit from the New Jersey Devils' Brendan Smith, who was not penalized on the play. Smith not being disciplined for the hit meant that hockey's old Western politics came into play, and Nick Foligno jumped in to fight Smith in the second period, subsequently breaking his own finger and also landing on the IR. That's just how it's been going for the Hawks lately, because Foligno and Bedard were 2 of 5 players that Chicago added to their injured list during their 5-game road trip. Losing 5 bodies on a single road trip is unheard of, and it doesn't even factor the injuries to Taylor Hall, Andreas Athanasiou, Seth Jones, or Joey Anderson. Now for keeping track, the All-Star Game goes down in Toronto on February 3rd, but there's no exact timeline of availability on Bedard until swelling goes down. So does this mean the return of Bubble Bedsy at some point? And are his chances to win the Calder popped the way McDavid's were when he was badly injured in his rookie year? Bedard's odds still sit at -240 on FanDuel, with the field at +186. But we'll see if that changes based on how long he's out, and which other impressive rookies step up in his absence. The Hawks were somehow able to win their first game without him versus the Flames, but we'll see how they hold up against this Oilers team who have won 7 in a row, and now find themselves in a wildcard spot.
Breaking news! We've got some shocking news out of Music City, where Mike Vrabel has reportedly been fired by the Titans. The move comes after a second consecutive losing season for Tennessee, but it's tough to blame Vrabel for that when he lost his starting QB Ryan Tannehill to injury in both seasons, and he's seen management get rid of weapons like A.J. Brown. Vrabel immediately becomes one of the most coveted coaches on the market, and his star running back Derrick Henry, who is also likely leaving in free agency, was as stunned as the rest of us.
To the association, the Raps' 4-game road trip continues tonight in LA, as they take on the Lakers in the first of a Lakers-Clippers back-to-back. And for the Raps, this road trip has gone as well as expected, as they beat the Grizz, lost to the Kings, then beat the Warriors. And when I say beat the Warriors, that is an understatement, as they absolutely obliterated G-State on Sunday. They held Steph Curry to under 10 points. That's incredible. We should be applauding these guys. And the other big story about Sunday's game against Golden State was the play of RJ Barrett, who had the best game of the season and one of the best of his career, dropping 37 points on 13 of 20 shooting, 1 point shy of the most ever by a Canadian in a Raps uniform. But the most impressive part, and what will be a true measuring stick of how good RJ will be, he was deadly from beyond the arc, going 5 of 8. And tonight they're catching a Lakers team at the perfect time, as going back to December 15th, it has been ugly. They're just 3-9 and the offense has really been sputtering. It's so bad that they now find themselves at 10th in the Western Conference, the final play-in spot, and only a half game up on the Jazz and Warriors. The Lakers are 5-point favorites for tonight's game with the total set at 235. However, those lines could change as it was just announced that Jakob Poeltl will be out indefinitely with a left ankle sprain. He will be reevaluated in 2 weeks, but it's a big blow to a Raps team that has been playing so well. And you can catch the Raps and Lakers tonight on TSN. Coverage begins at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. And before it, if you want to check out how former Raptor OG Anunoby is fitting in with the Knicks, we've got their tilt with the lowly Blazers on TSN as well. New York had lost 3 straight before the trade, but have now won 4 straight since acquiring OG. Time now, my favorite segment, and yours, Why We Love Sports Today.
Why we love sports today.
However, in this edition, it's more like why we love fantasy sports today. For an armchair manager, there is no greater glory than winning a fantasy league championship. On the flip side, there's no greater pain than a last place finish, especially when there's a punishment involved. This past weekend, our own Jesse Pollock, Jeff Hall, also known as Dude with the Sports Sign, and videographer and editor extraordinaire Connor Nickel-Penman, took part in a paintball hunt where the last place finisher was dressed as a lion. From there, the lion-clad loser had to run the length of the arena and back, while the other members of the league lit him up. The result, a heavily painted lion costume with a heavily welted human underneath. Oh my gosh, the poor guy. The poor guy. You lose and then you get pelted with paint guns. I don't know if you've been to one of these ranges before. I don't know if you've been paint gunning at all, but that hurts. But imagine Jesse came in last. Oh man, I don't even know if we would hear the end of it. It's Tuesday, so you know we gotta end the show with my anytime goal scorer bet. And I really hope that you've been riding with our picks lately, because we've been absolutely on fire, okay? Between myself, Luca, and Julia, we've crushed 4 straight picks in each of the last 4 weeks. But I will say I think Luca and Julia just copied my picks. That's fine. As well as Connor Bedard and Leon Draisaitl have performed for us, I'm going with someone who just got a fat new paycheck. William Nylander is actually paying plus money to Barrie tonight. And I think he's gotta make a statement, right? As we showed you yesterday, Nylander is on pace to smash the career highs he set in goals, assists, and points last season, as he's on pace for 120 points and just shy of 50 goals. And he has been on fire since the calendar flipped to 2024. He's racked up 4 goals and 6 points in 3 games this month, and he buried twice just 3 days ago against these same Sharks. Willie has also averaged more than a point per game in his career against San Jose. The Sharks are just one of 7 teams that he can say that about. So let's go big money on Big Willie. That's all for today. We'll see you back in tomorrow, 3 Eastern. No Pacific! Have a good one.